Artist M.C. Escher is known as the father of tessellation. He loved thinking about and creating art that had mathematical concepts, and you can see that he focused a lot of the time on animals and how their body shapes could fit and piece together just like tiles. The geometry of the picture plane and how it can be split into shapes provided endless possibilities. And even though he created other kinds of art, this is one that we can look at and recreate ourselves. I'm going to show you 2 different ways to make your own amazing tessellation art. Begin with a perfect square of paper, like a Post-it note, or something even more firm if you have it. The first way is translational tessellation. You're going to draw from one corner of one side down to the other. You can then carefully cut on that line. It can be an organic line or a geometric line. Just make sure that it goes precisely from one corner down to the other. Now that I've pieced it back together, I can see how I'm going to move one piece directly across from the other. And I'm going to tape the straight edges together very securely. Now I get to do that with one more side. I can choose the top or the bottom. I'm starting with my 2 lines to be sure that they go exactly into the corners of the original square. I will cut carefully to make sure that those cuts line up exactly with the corners. And now I will do the same thing. I will move that piece directly across from itself and tape it very precisely to the straight edge. I can trim or bend back those pieces of tape. Find a spot in the center of your paper to hold down and carefully trace around your new shape. What does it remind you of? What could you transform this into? While you're tracing, you can use your imagination and see what you can visualize. Each time you trace your shape, be sure that it is perfectly fit into the last shape that you traced, and be sure and use your pencil all the way around all of the edges. Once you are finished in pencil, you may go over your lines with marker. Then, use your imagination and add details inside of your shapes to make it art. The next kind of tessellation is rotational. This is very similar in that you will draw some kind of imaginative line from corner to corner on one side, and then on the opposite side, create another line. Each one of the shapes you cut out will be moved to the adjacent side of the square. So here I am cutting out the shape on top of the square, and I will switch that down to the right-hand side of the square. Before I tape that into place though, I want to go ahead and cut out the bottom shape. Notice it goes from corner to corner. And that shape will go over to the left-hand side of my square and be taped into place. With this shape, I can also look at it and use my imagination about what it might transform into. I will trace around carefully in the center of a blank paper with my pencil again. This one is a little bit trickier for me to place, but just make sure that your shape fits into itself. So your last tracing will always fit perfectly into the other shape without any overlapping or gaps. Once you have checked your entire paper to be sure that the shape is traced, you may go over your lines with a marker. You may may begin to notice that if you add detail into your shapes, the detail will also rotate. So you will see clusters of details, like I see the eyes and noses and mouths in my horse creature. And finally, add some beautiful color to your Tessa